Hi, and welcome to our week 1 of September. So, we're going to talk about today if you are an agent utilizing the Metro MLS, how to use it to get so that your buyers can get the realtor advantage. 2, if you have listings, how to maximize those listings. And 3, how to follow up with all of your clients so that they know exactly what's on the market as soon as it comes out, and it saves you so much work, so much and so much time. Hey everybody, I'm Stephanie Stewart out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm the area leader for Epic Realty, and I would love to be able to share my resources and my skills with you. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys how to get to the actual MLS. If you are a new agent, if you are just part-time, if you are full-time and you just maybe may not have been able to click your links, once you get registered as a realtor in Wisconsin, you will get your links from your MLS that you selected. Today, I'm going to be going over the Metro MLS. So we're going to literally type, so you're either going to find this link in your email, the one they sent, or you're going to type met.flexmls, FLEXMLS.com. This is going to, sorry, I'm already logged in. This is going to take you directly to the MLS login where you're going to log in. You're going to enter your MetroMLS ID number. This should be in your email and or given to you when you had already signed up to be a realtor. If you're on your home computer or something, click Remember Me. That way you don't have to remember it, but keep it written down in your notes or something. That way you always have it in your phone. You're going to type in your password. Just FYI, they will make you change these periodically. So just make sure you kind of remember what your new password is. For some people, it may look different because I use mine all the time. Mine just kind of came up because it already knows I'm searching for properties. The Metro MLS or any MLS is going to be pretty much how you research different properties. So when you first come on, it might look like something like this. Your home, or you can go to your dashboard, MLS. It's going to look very, very similar. If you already have clients in your database, it's going to have those contacts here. You can go through different listings. If anybody sent you a message, that would be here. Your active listings that you have are going to be here. And then it'll just kind of show you the market trends, stuff like that. MLS does have its own links so that you, like the RPR is going to be a way to do comps and different reports. Zip code finder, all these different ones are different links to help you with whatever you need. But honestly, I've been in real estate 6 years and I've never used any of this. My main thing is going to be to go right to the quick search. So say I am a buyer's agent. I have a call that came in and it's ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is Stephanie Stewart with Epic Realty. How can I help? That buyer might turn around and then say, hey, I'm looking at property 123 Main Street is usually what we say. But property I have under contract right now is 8800 West Douglas. Okay. So when properties come up, they're going to come up one of multiple ways. They're either going to come up as active, so they're actively on the market. They're going to come up with active with the little C over here, meaning it's contingent. It's going to say pending, as in it's under contract. It will say withdrawn if the agent and seller have agreed to take the property down for a period of time, and then they're going to put it back up later. This is a time where they are still under contract. So if you get somebody who is withdrawn, you technically cannot talk to them because they are still under contract with that other firm. However, if it comes up red and expired, I wish one of these came up. So no. So if it comes up either red or blue under expired, those are pretty much free game, but you're going to want to look at like the history of it just to make sure that they don't have a current pending thing or anything like that. So let's talk about the MLS. I want you to go on here and pretty much touch everything as if you are a toddler and you just want to know about anything. So say you type in the property address I'm using is 8800 West Douglas Avenue. This property is going to sit up here and tell me, it's going to give me a report where it's going to tell me the type of property. So single family, what's the status, what county it's in, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, if there's a garage, how many days it's been on market, how many square feet, the year it was built. This is your background check on the property. It's going to tell you the taxes and then what tax year that is. These are usually from public records and are kind of just carried on throughout the listings. So if it is important to any of your buyers, say your buyer says, I have a queen size bed, or I have a lot of stuff, I have a king size bed. Sometimes looking at the room dimensions is going to be able to save you a lot of time and a lot of properties just going through, because you're starting to listen to what your buyer needs and wants. Sometimes they will give you little tad bits like fenced yard. Sometimes that's important to people. It will tell you how many stories. If the person, get to know your buyers. If your buyer has a hard time going upstairs, then doing something that's 1.5 stories, 2 stories, that may not be a good fit for them. Now this particular buyer, it didn't matter, but they happen to have forced air and central air. They end up having a finished basement. It all around was pretty much everything we needed to know. Here you will have your remarks where they will give usually it's a captivating thing to attract buyers. To have someone say, ooh, I like this. So sometimes they will capitalize things. Sometimes they will add new roof, new mechanicals, new flooring, new things. So that way the buyer is more attracted to it, because it's like, okay, one less thing I have to do. As a realtor, you, or with somebody who has access to the MLS, you will have access to both private remarks and showing info. So this is going to tell you how to submit offers, what the earnest, who's the earnest money going to, things about the listing agent or anything like that. It's also going to tell you what kind of showing. When you go to up here on the far right-hand side, you're going to have all these different highlights, and all these different highlights do different things. So we talked about the history before, where you can look and see when the property last sold. It last sold for 91,000. They're selling it a couple of years later and they want a higher amount. You can look at the tax info, who's on the tax record. Now some buyers will come and say, oh, I looked at the property assessment on the city website and it said one of these numbers. It means absolutely nothing. This is not an appraisal. So an assessment is just something that the city says in order to say, theoretically, this house should be worth at least this much, more so a minimum. When the actual loan goes through, or if somebody orders an appraisal, they'll look at the comps from the surrounding properties in the neighborhood, and then they will give the appraised value, which is the value of the houses, which they usually base the tax rate off of. So know that even though the tax rate was 25.37, that was at the price that he bought it at. If we're going to now buy it for 200,000, that may make this go up. The tax rate is going to change off school development, streets, things in the community, all type of things. We cannot control this, but we can at least let our buyers know, or let them be aware, hey, from 2004 to 2016, the property taxes have increased over the years. There have been some special assessments. Now, special assessments can be the water bill. It could be things that the city said that they have to fix, such as like worn paint or a fence or whatever the city decides to say is wrong or they want them to correct. It could even be trash sitting out. You can look at the Milwaukee Assessor's website and you can look to see what that special assessment actually was. They will then come to the full amount to pay. This is the total tax bill due at the end of the year. Of course, when you are closing a property, they're not going to pay the full tax amount. They're only going to pay it prorated from the day of closing up until the end of the year. So when it comes to closing costs, things like that, they will go off of this number because they cannot predict the future for the future costs. Monsoon. Monsoon is a really, really great tool where it'll tell you the property dimensions or the parcel dimensions, where now you can say, hey, this is about the size of your property. They'll give you the latitude and longitude if necessary. Some people who are doing like new developments or maybe want a fence, they just want to know where the property lines are. When you go to the property, there's not like red markers out or anything that's going to tell you. Usually there is like a fence line or tree or something like that. But if they ask, they would be able to say this. This did help one of my other buyers because she bought a house that was up here, but the lot line actually went way back here. So she had a lot larger backyard than what she thought. But we only knew that because we looked at the parcel information. This will also tell you what the state has registered for this property. So they have it registered as these numbers. These are the numbers that are most likely going to be found on the report page and where they pulled it from. You can look at the market trends of how the neighborhood has increased over the years. Some people will ask you, is this a good investment? And though we cannot tell the future, we can at least say, hey, from 2010 to 2024, there has been an increase in properties that have sold for a higher dollar amount. Now, part of that is inflation. Over time, things get more expensive. But is 80,000 to 114,000 that drastic of what they're looking for, or are they in it for the long-term gain? Mortgage info does link to a rate plug. Now, I will say this can give you an estimate. I do have an app on my phone that I use to give the estimate. The estimates on any kind of app, bank lender, whatever kind of like computer generated thing, they're only going to give you estimates. That is usually just the principal and the interest. It will not add everything else. So this will kind of give you a thought process of kind of what it is, but it's more so just so the numbers are in writing and we kind of know. If buyers come in and they're putting 3%, 3.5%, 5% down, of course, the monthly payments are going to be a little bit larger. And they're going to have things called private mortgage insurance. If they put the 20% down, they now have put more money towards their principal. They have more skin in the game because they put, that higher dollar amount. Their loan amount is lower, which means that their monthly costs are lower, and they were able to avoid that insurance. So some people will elect to do this just to get the monthly payments lower. Some people will say, hey, I only really want to do the 3.5% or 3%. And they may ask you for different helps with grants, different things to help them with their down payment. Buying a house is expensive, but a good thing there's different products and services out there in order to help them reach that goal. Next, you will have documents. So when you get a property under contract and or you are just searching a property, you want to know about the background of the property. So sellers are required to do a real estate conditions report for any property under 4 units, whether they have lived in it or not. Some will elect to do it, some of them will not. Some of them will just write no on everything. Some of them will actually answer them truthfully, but the only way to verify this is through an inspection. As a realtor, it is your job to advocate for your buyer and say, hey, we want to know the ins and outs of the property to make sure you are getting into a good investment and not a money pit. Just because somebody marked no does not mean these things don't exist. And the only way to look at it is by having an expert go ahead and do that. Buyers can say whether they want to or not. However, you at least told them. If they selected the property, you're writing an offer. You're going to need to go to this print button right here. Oh, I wonder if it's even sharing it. Okay, we'll see it next time. So you're going to end up going to the share button. I'm sorry, print, and you're going to do save to PDF. It'll save to your computer. You can call it what you want, theoretically, the address. And that way, when you're going to pull it, you can just pull those documents. We'll go over in another week about how to actually get your stuff in writing, actually next week, and about how to put these documents together. You're also going to have your lead-based paint. Any property built prior to 1978 is going to require a lead-based paint waiver in Wisconsin. This is saying that somewhere down the line, when the house was built in 1957, they didn't know that they shouldn't put lead in paint. And on all those layers of paint that have been on the property from 1957 to 2025 or whatever year you're watching this, there may be some lead paint, so don't eat the paint chips, is usually what I tell my buyers. They kind of chuckle about it, but it's kind of like the McDonald's thing. Most people didn't think that they had to put a caution, this is hot, on a hot coffee. But because there was not a sign on it and it was hot, I think it happened in McDonald's. I don't remember what year, but lady burned her hand. All of a sudden she got a lawsuit for McDonald's for not labeling it. So this is our label. Warning, do not eat lead paint. Do not eat paint, period. But if you do, this may have lead in it. Now, when you are going through your documents, we do have a link to zip forms. Next week, we will go over zip forms. But I'm going to tell you right now, this button does not work in Wisconsin. You can try and click it. You can try and link it. It'll tell you to pay for something. And then when you go through to see if it's in our state, it's not there. So usually your broker, if they are using zip forms, dot loop, anything like that, they will tell you how to utilize that. But I will have another video on how to utilize zip forms. And this is going to be how to actually put your documents in writing, put your contracts in writing, get that prospect and make them an actual client or a customer, to get that property from on the market to under contract, legally, ethically, and morally. I think we went over the calculator, and then you can search comparables. So say your buyer is saying, hey, I don't really want to do this price. What, can we do? We can click search comparables. And the comparables will pull up the properties within this area. A lot of times it will be in a closed knit type thing. So what you want to do is you want to click it. You want to right click edit, edit shape, move this circle, and you can move it out of. Now this is going to give you a bigger area, but for instance, this is only showing 2 other properties. The pending date, we have until this time last year, sold date within the last year, bedrooms within 2, bathrooms within 1. We want these things to stay the same. Sometimes I will do an add field and add the year the house is built. If this was more than 2, say it was like 20 or 30, I would, try and limit it out. So right now this is saying there's a property on Fond du Lac Ave for 133. It's a little bit bigger. You can go through the photo, stuff like that. I mean, from the outside, I can see that this probably needs a little bit more work. So is it really a comparable? Is it really even saying what this area goes for? Or is it saying right now it's a seller's market and sellers can put whatever price they want, and as long as a buyer is willing to pay it, it can then sell for that price. Once you get a property under trust or under contract, you will have 2 options for earnest money. That earnest money can either go to to the actual company, firm, title company. You can walk in the door, say, here's a money order, cashier's check for the earnest money. Here you go. I'd like to make this deposit. Cool. They'll give you a receipt. You'll give the buyer will give it to their agent. And then we can say, hey, we have it recorded that we did earnest money. If people are busy, as many people are, we have an electronic way to do earnest money, which is called trust funds. Trust funds is going to be a way that the MLS does it. So all you're going to do is you're going to certify that the buyer has a contract. It's going to go to, it'll either, if it's highlighted, Epic does not take earnest money in Wisconsin. This particular firm does not take trust funds, but their firm does. Here's a list of all the firms in Wisconsin that take it. If you are unsure, you can see in their private remarks, they said earnest money to be deposited by attorneys, title, and closing services. So what you're going to do is you're going to go here. You're going to go to attorneys, title, and closing services. It's going to populate. You're going to put in the buyer's information, how much the earnest money was, and you're going to create a secret word. The secret word, whatever word you want to be. It's just a word so that that person who gets the link knows, it's kind of like their secured way, like a PIN number or something like that. Sometimes it can be a inside joke between you two or something you talked about. I mean, I've used everything from, like I was just bored, like, oh, there's an elephant, cool. But then I was like, elephant has too many words, too many letters, wolf. Like, you can kind of make it up as you go. You're gonna finalize you're gonna finalize it. Buyer will pay the $8 convenience fee. They're gonna send it and then notify buyer. This one I did already send it to my buyer, so that's why it shows up. Now, that is just this tab bar. Up here, you will get things that you can edit the search. Edit search is going to be things where you can now edit different fields or anything like that. Your list is going to give you the list of the property. Your details is the one that we were just on. Your photos. Now you can go through each photo of the property. Now, as a buyer, they're only going to look through these pictures and say, ooh, I like that light. Ooh, that looks like a nice size room. Like, those are some nice floors. Like, okay, I like the kitchen. As an agent, it is your job to start really looking in these corners. So if you got to blow up the picture, you have to blow up the picture. This right here is most likely a gas line. So this house doesn't come with appliances, and you can probably put a gas, see, there you go, the gas line, and this is also electrical box. You can have electric or gas appliances. And if you got eagle eyes, you can kind of zoom in and see, is this GFCI certified? If this is an FHA buyer, that's important. If it's already like that, great. If it's not like that, now that's something we may have to negotiate in the inspection period to be able to say, hey, I would like a property with GFCI outlets near water sources. You can see the finishes are done. Now you don't have to be an inspector. You don't have to be like, oh, I think there's mold in that corner. No, it's not for you to say that. But in basements, especially, looking down at these baseboards and these corners, not saying, and you will learn more as you're in business, but this looks pretty dry. They have a dehumidifier down, probably get the basement smell out. They do have a couple of the windows open. Now, people may say this is me being nitpicky. However, it's being observant. They didn't just open them for decoration. They did it for a reason. So now I'm looking kind of all around here. Is the drywall have any signs of water kind of coming in? Is this potentially a wet basement? Is this a newer or older looking furnace? Is this a newer or older looking water heater? How are the pipes connected? Does this seem like it's right? Or I've had some where this isn't even connected. There's a big hole in the chimney, or, like where there's gas coming out. It's not for you to sit up here and nitpick on those things, but just be observant. You don't want to steer your buyer away because all of these things can be negotiated to be fixed. For instance, there's a board. So like with this property, this window was broken. Without us having to say, hey, can you fix the window? They already knew. I should probably fix this window. Most sellers or owners, they know what's wrong with the property. So sometimes they will fix things even if you don't ask for them. You can always click map if you don't know where a property is. You can scroll out and kind of see, okay, this is kind of off Mill Road. This is 91st, Silver Spring. So even if you're not, and people usually use GPSs, but some people do not use GPSs. So if you are somebody who likes to follow actual like map instructions, like back in my day, we had MapQuest, and we would actually print out the instructions. But this way, you can kind of see how to get here from wherever you are. You can move it. This also helps if somebody gives you a list of properties where, like, say I had 7 properties, they would show where all of them are. Now, some agents are going to say, do the worst property to the best property, and it's okay if you drive all over. It's kind of the experience. I personally like to go what's in that area. If we're looking at 4 properties and 2 of them are over here and 2 of them are over here, I'm not going to go here, 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 here. No, we're going to go through these 2 and then we're going to go to these 2. And then sometimes I even had my buyers who, they drive a lot where they're like, oh, this is actually a better way to, do it this way. So you can always look. I mean, if you want to see if someone says, hey, is there, a park nearby? You can literally zoom in. It'll tell you where the state forests are, where, the gardens are, what the waterways are. It'll even tell you kind of what the, I don't want to call them counties. I would say communities. So in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, specifically, we have certain government programs that if you move to certain neighborhoods, they pay you to be there. But it has to be within that city. So say it was like, or in that community. So say it was Maple Tree. Maple Tree may only cover this area. So as long as the house is in that area, it's covered. It might cover this whole thing. I don't know. But like Calumet Farms, So it all just depends on what the community is. And sometimes like I'm not pushing any particular bank or anything like that, but different banks or credit unions, they will offer 5,000, 3,000, 7,000 for this house being in an area that they're pushing that grant to be in. Not going to get into the politics of why they do it, but just know that that is a thing. So now we talked about, a quick search. Say somebody came in and said, I want to look at this property. You can do that. Cool. Say you are now you're going into the call, you looked at the property, you told them, hey, it's pending. What did you like about this property? Or what are you looking for in a property? This is when they may tell you, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, single family. So property type, you're going to go to single family. If they say they want a multifamily, like 3 to 4 unit, you would click multifamily. If they want a two family, vacant land, commercial, condominium. Here is where you can click the property type, and this will populate to be different. You also can go up here and change the template. And when you change the actual template, these questions become different. So now unit 1, how many bedrooms do you want in this unit? How many bedrooms do you want in this unit? How many bathrooms? Is there a certain zip code you want to stay in or like, or you can say not like, where you can take out whole areas. Garage space is the same thing. If they say their student goes to MPS school or they want to stay in Milwaukee County because of the benefits of the rec program, summer program, stuff like that, you just type in here, county, Milwaukee, or whatever county you want to be. And I'm only using Milwaukee because that's where I am, but it'll populate everything that is available. Now, these are all properties, period. In order to get you to properties that are only active, you need to come over here to contingent. You need to click not of, and then with offer. So now it's going to take out all the properties that are currently pending and under contract. Over here, you can click on the draw rectangle, circle, polygon, whatever else. I usually do the rectangle. You can do this now just because you have MetroMLS in Wisconsin. We have access to all properties everywhere. So if you want to draw a box from over here to over here, and that's what you want to do in your coverage area, you can do that. Well, it's not going to work here because we put Milwaukee. So if we take the Milwaukee County off, you'll start to see those other properties populate. If you want to change this, you're going to click it. You're going to go to edit shape, and you're going to move it to where they want to be or where your coverage area is. If you know that you don't want to go more than an hour, or no, I'll say 30 minutes. I'll say that's about 30 minutes out the city. Then you need to make your distance to match what you want to do. In real estate in general, you are licensed in the state of Wisconsin. You can cover all of this. However, you may not want to drive 5 hours to get over here or 2 hours to get over here. 1.5 hours to get over here. This is why we have teammates where we can now say, hey, you live in Appleton, I got this lead. And then that's how you really build your relationships in order to grow your business. You can't be everywhere all the time. They may see a property that they want to see this weekend and you just don't want to go to Madison or something. Like, stay, I'm not saying stay in your lane, but stay where you are comfortable going to. Research some of these areas, see what programs they have available. Milwaukee itself, we have Axe Housing, we have NACA, we have WIDA, we have so many different things. Racine, they have something like Axe, but they call it something else. Sturvant, Germantown, all these different places have different grants available, different housing assistances available, different types of houses available. You may want somebody who wants land or wants to be able to farm or something. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the change the type. You're going to look at vacant land. And you can choose to look at it as a map or a list. It depends on what you want. Some land will be as low as $1. Some land will be higher. When you want to go from high to low without going all the way down this list of 8,000 properties, just flip it. Price, do it descending. So this one is a lot on Green Bay Road in Somers for 33 mil. Like, there's no such thing as we don't have what somebody's looking for. One thing I can say about Wisconsin is we have land, we have houses, we have multifamilies, we have commercial. We have so many things at an affordable price range. It just matters of what your vision is and what their price range is. As far as buyers, I want to say that probably concludes the buyer section. The next part, I want to go over just quick listings. So, here, if you go to menu, you see how like mine has like quick search, tax information. These are all the things that I usually look at. You can add things by just coming over to it and adding the star. If you don't want it, you take the star off. Now, so everything that we have been doing has been under the search section. Excuse me. So quick search is going to be for one property at a time. Multiple addresses, it's going to be multiple properties at a time. You can click what property type it's going to be. If you think all of them are single families, if they're all, if you do all, they're going to show you whether they're active, sold, pending. Sometimes I will click just active, just so I only get what's currently available. If somebody sends me a list of, say, 10 properties, and my list of active is 8, then that tells me either 1, the address is wrong, 2, the property is under contract, or 3, the property is gone as of it's being rented, it expired out, it's not on the market. Something happened where it's no longer there. Now, outside of search, when it comes to advertising on social media, sometimes people want to post listings that are not necessarily their listings, which is fine. But the rule is post something from your firm in your state, or at least from your firm. So depending on what your market is and what your target audience is, who are you trying to capture? Based off of who you're trying to capture and what price point you're trying to capture, you can click any property that you want. Keep in mind, people love looking at houses, even if they're not in the market to look at houses. Maybe not them themselves, but maybe their friend, their cousin, a family member, somebody else they know are looking at properties. People literally, I've seen this. They will go to open houses on Saturdays. It's just something to do. It's seeing how people have updated their houses, how things are kind of, is their house better than mine? But you can click any of these. You can go to details. You want to go through certain pictures. You can say, hey, check out this. Know about the property. This duplex 2x2, 1 vacant, 1 month to month, maybe perfect for owner occupied house hacking. Throw little tidbits out there to pull people in. A lot of our peers do not actually know the value of having a realtor, or at least a realtor that is going to look to see what's available, look to see how they can help them win the money game. Like real estate is one of the most expensive things you can buy, but it's also one of the roads to wealth. So maybe learn about investing techniques, maybe learn about house hacking, maybe learn about grants, maybe learn about different things, but these are all your buyer advantages. And this is all you really need to do the background check on your property. If you are a listing agent or you have a listing, because I mean, there is a thing as a listing agent, I only do listings, and a buyer's agent as I only do buyers. But as I've been in business, you end up kind of doing it all. It's whatever they bring to you. So here you're going to add your listing. If it is a single family, two family, vacant land, multifamily, condominium, commercial, industrial, rental, you're going to classify it. Then you're going to click next. I would click no preferred photographer. They're supposed to be able to like link it to the photographer site, but it's easier if you just upload it. You type in the address. Anything that is red or has a star needs to be put in. You're gonna do a listing. Hopefully you know the address. For zip codes, you can type in the regular zip code, and then you remember when I was saying go to the tax records. It'll tell you what that other 4-digit zip code is. It will go through all of the things. You're gonna write your list price, the municipality. Now, some of these will populate once you type in the address, such as like, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's look at the taxes. Taxes, you're gonna look at the previous listing. Look at the history, pull up, literally click the history. You're gonna pull it up. This is only gonna tell you what it was listed at previously. Taxes, this page is, I don't know what the word is, but it's kind of dropped it. So it's a link out to somewhere else. So this is populated through the city. Now, City of Milwaukee has this. When you start getting into like Menominee Falls, Brookfield, kind of some of the different outer skirts or places not Milwaukee, you will have to go to Oak Creek assessors or Menominee Falls property records. You'll have to go through things like that if it doesn't have a history or you can't just pull it up on the MLS. So say these weren't here and it's just nobody's ever listed this property before, you would have to do some research going through the assessor's websites. Now, assessor's website will give you all of this information when you listed it, when it expires, if it's broker owned, electronic consent, all of these you're going to mark as suited for your listing based off what it is. Details, it's going to ask you, do any of these things apply? The benefit of you marking these and not just kind of like pushing them off is if somebody is looking for a listing and they only want ones with pond and yours has a pond and you didn't mark that, they're not going to see it in their search if their particular agent is only searching or only have them subscribe to listings about properties with a pond. Like, it's not going to show up if you don't click it. Click as much as you can to best identify your property. Some people don't drive cars, so maybe near public transit if you saw that it was a bus nearby. If the property's on the corner, let people know it's on the corner. Some people like corner houses, some people do not like corner houses. It will save you a lot of time, effort, and energy if you are not only reading these things in the report on the property, but as a listing agent, you are putting these things down. Because I know as someone who automates my business, if somebody is looking for a 2-story building, I'm only looking at 2-story buildings. I'm not going to tell them, I'm not going to look for ranches. I'm not going to look for 1.5 stories. I'm going to only look for 2 stories. Now, when you start kind of digging deeper or your buyer starts sending you properties that you didn't send, usually it's because something that they specified that they wanted, they were more lenient on when they were looking on their own. So it's going to ask you about the basement. It's going to ask you how the property is heated, how the property is cooled, if it has radiant heat or forced heat, if it has central air. think one of these is even, it has, some properties have like those wall vacuums or whatever, like it's like a vacuum system throughout the whole house. There's a button for that. If the property is part of a 1031 exchange. Now, if it is gray, you do not have to. If it is red, you have to. It will not allow you to proceed to the next step if you have not done that. If the property is going to come with appliances or none, you're going to mark those. All of these are pretty much just fill in the blanks. You're going to click next. When it comes to the room, you're going to write on the level. Is it on the main level, like no stairs, right when you walk in the front door, upstairs, or lower? And then you're going to type the length and width, which is usually found on the details. Just copy what was already on there. You're going to go through next. It's going to say, do you want to exclude it? Like, if the seller opt out to not be in any particular things or all MLS authorized public websites? This is going to give them the most coverage. So it's going to go to Zillow, it's going to go to Home, it's going to go to whatever website that the MLS is certified to do. And then you're going to go up here and you're going to click Add Listing. If the property is not right or you miss some things, it's going to say how many errors have been found, and then it's going to take you to those errors to fix it. If, say, this is a pending listing, like I have one, for instance, for now where we were going to list it and then the flood happened and the property ended up being damaged by the flood. So we did not put it on the market right away. We waited a couple weeks. So I've already put in everything to list it, but I can click Save and Complete Listing and it will be saved where I can now come back to it later. I would go to Menu, Incomplete. That's on there. And then you can either remove it or finish Add Listing, or you can edit it. I'm going to delete it because there's nothing on it. I don't even know what those other ones are, so we're going to delete those too. Okay, cool. Now, say you have a listing. So after you add it, it's going to be populated, right? Once you have it populated, it's going to come up here. This is one of the listings that I have. You're going to click it, and it's going to do the listing information, which is everything you just put in. It's going to put in a map location. It's going to, all this is going to already be populated. If it's been on the market for a while, you end up changing the price, you're going to go here to click change list price. You're going to put in the new list price and push save. This has to be done with the written paperwork. So the amendment to listing, changing the list price has to be signed. Photos. You're going to come in here. You're going to go to add photos. It's going to go to, I don't know how you do your pictures and your thing, but you go to your pictures and you're going to upload them. Whatever picture you decide to put the flag on is going to be your primary photo. If you need to switch the picture around, like it wasn't sitting right, you just click the arrows to twist it appropriately. That one will auto save on your own. If you have floor plans, you can add that here. Documents are going to be your seller's conditions report. So I showed you before of next week, we'll go over getting your things in writing and where to find it in zip forms, but where that conditions form is, you're going to upload that so that your potential buyers can download it for their offer to purchase. Your listing contract will go in there. That is confidential. Just the MLS will have access to it. And then any amendments that you did. So this one was like an amendment to a real estate conditions report where the seller may have been aware or may not have been aware of certain issues. When we got the property under contract and we got the inspection report, certain issues came up. And now that we are knowledgeable of it, it is our legal duty to be ethical and say what came up on there. You don't have to post the whole inspection report because the inspection report is confidential to that buyer. However, you can put things in there like water on the side of whatever. It just mostly protects the seller. This way, people aren't really inclined to ask for fixes. They kind of know what they're getting themselves into. Properties with videos and virtual tours do sell faster. If you have the extra funds to do that, I would say do it for all of your listings. Um, I mean, to an extent, I wouldn't do it for like maybe a property that's like $20,000 where you know it's a fixer-upper. You could probably do the video as kind of like in your own personal video, or if somebody's interested, you can send it. But you want whatever videos, photos, floor plans, whatever you're putting out there to the world, you want it to be attractive and appealing so that people want to buy your property. Public open houses, you can click on this button and you can add an open house for your property. This will populate to all of the MLS websites, and it'll let the public know, hey, Saturday 1 to 2, we have an open house. And then you have your aligned showings. When you have a listing, unless you have already automated this part, you have to set it up. So for your listing, you're going to be able to like edit, and you're going to say allow property to be shown. Yes. Allow overlapping appointments. Yes or no? Do you want people to, if two people can only be there at 4, can they both be there at 4? Or do you only want one person there at a time? These are kind of questions that you can ask your seller, but kind of also just how to best maximize the property. How can you best maximize your listing to get the most eyes on it and the most people through that door with cash or with money in order to go to that next thing? If it's a go and show, you can do instant approval. If it is seller or tenant occupied, we're going to do require approval, where it'll say if you want an instant message, how you go ahead and do that, how much notice of advance you want to do. Like, they can't do it within the first 14 hours. You could do that. This way that when people go to book the listing, they can't book it 14 hours from the time that they're logged in. You can do office involvement, so it'll come to you. If you have certain team members, you can do that. You can let the seller be on here as well, where they will get alerts every time that there is a property request to view. If there's any restrictions, so say the basement flooded and they need to do some work, we can go on here and we can block out specific days. Say the seller works from home and she needs to have a certain meeting hour covered where there's nobody ringing the doorbell. She may put that in there. Feedback summary. I like to do around 3 to 5 reminders. 5 reminders people usually respond back. You can do a default summary or you can do a custom survey. Where you can kind of pick what you want to do. You can ask your own questions and then you can apply it as default. So every time you have a new listing, that's pretty much it's going to be the same thing every time. I do not use this button just because every listing is different. Some of them may be instant approval, some of them may not. So I just want to make sure that I'm going through that for each property. Now, last thing we're going to go over is going to be reverse prospecting. Now that we've got the listing in the MLS, now that we've added pictures, we've added the documents. If you need to extend it, expire it, pend it, anything like that, that's all going to be over here under status. So now that we've all done that, cool. How do you get people in that door? Well, the first, I would say about week and a half, 2 weeks, it comes off as a new listing. That will kind of be broadcasted everywhere. However, as time goes on, new properties will come onto the market and those will now become the new listings. So what you can do is under your menu, you're going to go to contacts and you're going to do reverse prospecting. Your reverse prospecting is you're going to click the property, run reverse, and then it's going to populate all of the agents that have buyers that are looking for properties like the one you have for sale. This may take a while depending on how many people there are. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And it will just populate and it'll go down. So just give it some time. As the line goes through, you can then click right next to the members, it'll click all of them. However, it will only do a list of, I want to say 200 at a time. So if they give you 2,000 people, you're going to click it. You're going to go through send, and you're going to do it for that first 200. You're going to remember who the last name is. You're going to click it again, and you're going to keep going through it. Some people will print the list. I don't. I just let the computer do it. And while that is loading, I'm going to go back to this part and kind of show you something. So I'm sorry, going back to buyers, you can do a subscription. A subscription is going to be, say somebody says, I want this kind of house. So how we're talking about where you have all the listings and stuff like that. You can say, okay, and you can automate it where they only get properties within this range. Now, say they've been looking through them and they're like, hey, I don't want properties under. You can switch this to 130. You can switch them to 5 bedrooms to, let's say they want to go to 3. You can add fields, but all of that is fine. And then you're going to just click save. So this one's going to go to an existing, which was housing ideas. The contact was already existing, and this was for Curtis. You can click add additional search options. So we want him to know about the open houses, price change, exchange or extensions, back on market, new. We want him to know within 24 hours and default. So then we're going to go to save. And now he's going to have that. You can click email listings now or don't email them. If you have a buyer and say they have already closed on their house or they are no longer looking. So for instance, Chris is already under contract. You can click these little dots. You can either click edit subscription if you're going to edit it like we just did, or you can click delete. Yes, I'm sure. And then I'll delete him out so now he's not getting property alerts all the time. Now, the benefit of this is that you don't have to always look through your database every day, looking at this hot sheet, trying to see what's available, and you're not doing manual lists all the time. That concludes the image. So let's share there and go back to looking at you. Cool. So the MLS is a way for you to benefit different buyers. It benefits agents drastically. You can now have all of the information that your buyers are looking for. You can maximize your listings. You can set them at an automatic follow-up. So those automatic follow-ups makes it so you can do other important things while the computer is doing those things. Now it is okay to, if your buyer reaches out to you and say, hey, I kind of like these, but I don't like these, you need to say, okay, let me hand select some properties for you and go that extra mile to go through that list of 60 and say, I think you would like these 12. What do you think about these 12? Or these whatever you select. And that way you can kind of have a communication go back and forth. Now, if you have any questions, the MLS does have a frequently asked questions tab, kind of like a help or chat bot, where you can ask any questions. And I do have some of the like short videos on kind of things that I said. I will also make edits to this video on where I talked about different things. That way, if you only want to know about reverse prospecting, we can go to that part. Or if you want to know how to get to your office listing and how to advertise on social media, we can go back to that. Now, that concludes how to work the Metro FlexMLS in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Know that we can do anything we want with our real estate license. That includes commercial, that includes land, includes single family condos, 2 families. It does not matter. All it requires you to do is do some research and get some training in that field. Don't just go willy-nilly and thinking you know everything. Find some people in that field doing what you want to do, learn from them, and allow yourself to grow in the field to do what it is that you want to do. I am here to support you every week, Thursdays between 1 and 2 Central Standard Time. Next week, we will be going over getting your ish in writing, using that zip forms, using that dot loop, putting things in SkySlope, making sure that you are doing things ethically, and making sure that everything is legal. The worst thing for you to do is try to write a contract on a piece of a post-it note and you think that's going to be it. We need to protect ourselves, we need to protect our buyers, and we need to protect the transaction just so that everybody, or be clear on the transaction so that everybody knows what the expectations are. I will see you guys next week. Be sure to tune in or click on, matter of fact, let me, one thing, sorry. I'm gonna share my page one more time. So one thing that I do want you guys to do, if you have not already, I need you to go to Facebook. I need you to find me. My name is Stephanie Stewart. That's where you can find me. And I need you to like, follow, share, add a friend. Let's make sure that we stay in touch because I will post things every month of the events that we have going on. So right now, we just got done with our first training virtually. Next week, we will be going over, like I said, getting your things in writing, followed by lead conversion, really not just having prospects, but knowing what to do when you have so many different calls to make. There are a lot of fun events within our community. Cedarburg downtown by Summerfest. There's so many things to do, especially while it's still a little bit warm outside. I would love to meet you guys in person. It does not matter what brokerage you're with. It does not matter if you're on a team, solo, if you are a part-time, full-time, sometimes agent. I am here to help, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to working with you guys in the near future.